Welcome back to the Move with Ease podcast. Today, I'm so excited to have this episode conversation with Jennifer McCutcheon. She is a recovery trauma informed coach. Take back your, oh my God, I butchered that. What did you tell me to say?
I know it was fine. Personal power, but
Personal
that's
power.
fine. That's it would have been fine if you kept it like that.
Let me redo because I do edit. Okay. Personal power. Okay. Welcome back to the Move with Ease podcast. Today, I am so excited to sit down with my good friend and fellow FAMbassador, that's Preventative Health Awareness Movement, Jennifer McCutcheon. She is a mama of three. She is a personal power recovery and trauma coach. She has lived experience and is helping women reclaim themselves, find their deep reason why. And I'm just so excited to be here with you, Jen. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here to chat with you and your listeners.
Yeah, Jennifer and I met through the Preventative Health Awareness Movement. We are connected through this community. And before we dive into her work, Jen, can you take us back a little bit and share who you were before all of this?
Yes. My story is 25 years of loving my loved ones in addiction and mental health. But if I look at my journey, there was so much that came before that. I just didn't understand it. So really, my
Mm,
journey started when I was a little girl, and the things and experiences and wounds was really so pivotal and critical in understanding in the times of my life when it was the struggle, the suffering, the chaos with loving my loved ones in addiction. So whenever I hear like, "What's your story?" It's like, well, really, we could start when I was a little girl. We don't have enough
right.
time for that. So basically, it's like I 25 years of loving my loved ones in addiction. My first husband experienced mental health challenges, bipolar disorder, many concurrent disorders, and substance abuse. My children at the time were very young. They were both like under 2 years old. So it was a whirlwind. It was like somebody flipped a switch and my whole life
Mm,
was turned upside down, like
mm.
literally.
Wow.
And it didn't take long. There was about a year's time where there was a lot of abuse mentally, emotionally, physically in the relationship, a lot of ups and downs. And I really believe, like, till death do us part, in sickness and in health, I just stand by my husband. But it was unmanageable and it became
Yeah.
dangerous and unsafe. So I eventually left the marriage. And it really was really a trauma event for my both my kids, as little as they were, as young as they were. It was later on that I understood how much that impacted them at the
Mm,
time. So, had to really, really dig deep. I was struggling with depression and anxiety. It was crisis after crisis during that time. But, I had my kids and I was like, I gotta show up for them. So, I did the therapy, went to the counseling, did all the things to get myself right, started to rebuild my life. Um, and, a couple years later, remarried. It's probably 3 years later, remarried. And my second husband struggled with alcoholism.
mm,
And, I didn't recognize it until later on. And then I started to recognize, I'm like, there's an alcohol problem here.
mm.
And again, it escalated and got worse. And I was like, how the heck am I here again? Like, why? Like, how am I here again?
Mm,
Fast forward, grade nine, my son gets into grade nine, and basically, same thing. Very quickly, he goes off the rails, changes friends groups, starts using marijuana, and very quickly goes deep dive into severe substance misuse, misabuse. And it was a whirlwind. It was a
mm,
whirlwind. We had very quickly trying to do interventions, get him off the streets. And we were able to get him into a mental health or youth addiction treatment center at the age of 15 years old. It was
Wow.
devastating. It was again like, how am I here? How did this happen? I thought I did all the right things. Like I educated my kids on substance abuse. We talked about mental health. They lost their dad. He didn't pass away, but he was in active addiction, their father, for the majority of their life. So we had
Right.
real conversations and I thought I did all the right things. So I was like, how did this happen? Like,
Mm.
what did I do wrong? And that's where it started, where so I needed to fix, solve, save. How do I help my son? How do I get him the help that he needs? And it was a slow, depleting, degenerative process of suffering, of chaos and crisis that eventually brought me to my knees and cracked me open to a new level of truth that I wasn't here to fix my son. I wasn't here
Mm.
to save him. There was nothing there was nothing more that I could do but to help myself.
Mm. How did you, can you describe that moment? Like, was it one moment or like a addition
Yeah.
of a bunch that one day you were like, I just can't do this anymore?
Yeah, I love that question because I always say it took many rock bottoms for me. And I think that is the truth for everybody. I hear people go like they just, some people, maybe 1% of people can like just stop cold turkey and make that change. But majority of people know it took me many rock bottoms. It took me many pivotal turning points to
Yeah.
start to redirect my life and to take back control of my life. It wasn't just one incident, but there were probably three or four like major experiences that really changed my life
Mm.
for the better. So again, I say rock bottom because I recognized, and we hear people say this, but I was
Hmm.
addicted to my addicted. Okay. I
Mm.
became addicted to helping, solving, fixing, saving, in particularly my son, because I can tell you being a mother and a spouse to
Different.
to addiction is very different. For me, my experience, very, very different. So it was really my son, like to like so many overdoses you can't count, hospitalizations, like inpatient, outpatient, rehabs, detox, emergency surgeries, life support, like so
Wow.
many of these moments that just it's like you're living in a nightmare and you can't wake up from.
Mm.
But I couldn't stop. So I was experiencing enabling and codependency. I didn't know what those terms were then, but now I do. And this is
Right.
how, when we understand the cycles and the patterns that are at play with
Hmm.
every single one of us. I had my patterns, my son had his patterns, my husband had his patterns, right? And it's just this
Yeah.
perfect storm of chaos and despair until those rock bottoms. So, there's one moment where I literally ran outside after a crisis situation. I was squeezing my hands so tightly. I wasn't breathing. My whole body was tensed up and I'm staring at a fence. Like I'm
Wow.
just staring at a fence and I disassociated. I woke up, came back and I'm staring at a fence and I'm bleeding because my fingernails dug into my
Wow.
palms. That's how hard I was squeezing.
Okay.
And I was like, and I wasn't breathing. I had been holding
Wow.
my breath.
Okay.
And that was a moment where I was like, what is happening? Like, what am I doing?
Mm.
That it scared me. I was like, what just happened? So
Mm.
that was a little awakening. That was a little awakening. There was many years later, things were really bad. My husband was in active addiction, crazy chaos. My son was in active addiction, homeless. And I had been working again. I was working still, and struggling at work, being harassed by one of the management team, and it was just like again the perfect storm. And I literally was like, I can't, I got to get out of here. I was driving down the 401, heading to my parents that lived out in Brighton. And I was suffering so badly. And I just remember I had my hands on the steering wheel. And I thought, if I just pull my car into oncoming traffic, it'll all be over. And I literally was just about to like crank the wheel to go
Mm.
across it's just this grass pathway in between the two highways. I'm like, it'll just be done.
Mm.
And it was such a, it was, but there was a moment, all of a sudden, there was this warmth that came over me. It was like this, it was like a blanket of love that I'd never felt before, this warmth. And I heard a voice say, "It's not for nothing. You matter. Keep going.
Mm.
Keep going." And it was an undeniable moment. It was an angel. It was my higher self. It was my God source that was I was opening up to that understanding, that awareness. Like there's
Mm.
more going on here. Just
Yeah.
just keep going. And I drove home. I slept for like 24 hours probably, like just slept and rested, and I got up, quit my job, signed up for yoga teacher training, and all of a sudden it wasn't like nothing, everything changed, but something inside of me changed. Something inside of me
Yeah.
said, I have to take responsibility.
Okay.
Yeah. So those were two major moments where that happened. And then there was a third moment where, again, sitting on my couch in my living room, had been crying for hours. My whole life just turned upside down, craziness all around. And I again heard this in this voice. It's like I say angelic or angel, it's my voice. It's the
Yeah.
inner knowing, it's the inner guide, it's my higher self, it's God's source, it's all of it. And
Okay.
it was in that moment, it was, you're the common denominator. In all your suffering, you're the one that's there. You're the common
Mm.
denominator. Because I'd been looking at them, what they're doing, the pain that they're causing me, and
Mm.
trying to get them to change, when I had to be the one to change. I had to be the one to go first. I had to stop waiting for all the things around me to get better, because that's what I was
Mm-hmm.
waiting for. The magic pill, the doctor, the thing that was going to come in and fix it, fix them.
Okay.
And then I realized, actually, I'm the one. Not that I needed to be fixed, but I needed to take ownership and responsibility for my life, because I was the one creating the chaos. I couldn't wait for them anymore to fix it. I had to create change for myself.
Right. So I have so many questions here, and
Yeah.
thank you for sharing all that. And even that, I've heard that highway story from our Stronger Through Midlife event where you were one of the keynote speakers, and I still teared
Mm,
up again. So I guess where do I begin? For someone listening, maybe who is living in the chaos, whether it's with addictions or not, just feeling the overwhelm. And when you feel that moment, or maybe before you even get there, that you realize, I need to take ownership, I'm the common denominator. But how do you pull yourself in that from that 180
mm,
to take, like for your example, I guess you started to take yoga teacher training and do something for you. Is
yeah.
that the shift? Like how does one jump from feeling like everything's spiraling down to like, okay, I have this angelic light and I can create the change for me. Like how do we
Mhm.
actually practice that? Because it sounds really cool, but in practice, like what does that look like?
I'm going to say thank you for asking, because it's hard. It's hard work. It is grueling work. I had to literally climb out of a huge, massive hole, and I didn't do it alone. I asked for help. I looked for support. I looked for different communities, family members, people that had my back.
Mm,
And it was not easy. And I think this is what is people want easy. We all want easy, right? How do we take
yeah.
we avoid, but it got it you it's this is part of my mission, is to help people understand they don't have to hit rock bottom. We can actually be preventative. We can actually start to educate people with awareness and tools and resources, so that they don't have to hit rock bottom and dig a hole so deep it's so hard to get out of.
Mm,
And whether you're struggling with addiction, mental health, or anything in between, or
yep.
everything in between, like we're all struggling with different capacities and not capacities, well, different capacities, but different spectrums of the same things, right?
Yep.
So it isn't just one thing, it's many things. It's showing up the best version of you that you can. Even if it was like I used to say, like if I picked up, if all I did today was pick up that paper clip that's been sitting on the floor for the past 2 weeks, and that's all I did, it's enough. And I mean that
Okay.
literally. There was a time where I was walking by this paper clip and I kept seeing it and I didn't have the capacity to pick it up. I was just like,
Wow.
now
That's
it
such a
seems,
good visual, Jen.
well, it seems trivial, but I mean, there's those things that we just don't have
Yes.
the capacity. We're so tired of, but those little paper clips start adding up and adding up
Right.
and adding up. And
Yeah.
if that's that one day I finally was like, I got to pick up that freaking paper clip because it's driving me nuts. I picked up that paper clip. So where are you today? And what paper clip in your life can you
Mm.
just pick up? One thing that you can do today
Yeah.
to empower yourself, to be kind to yourself, to feel like you've accomplished something. Because I had to build trust with myself. I didn't
Mhm.
trust myself. I had done so many things, abandoned myself, sacrificed myself, rejected myself. I was
What did
speaking.
that look like in terms of actions or behaviors or like how it felt in your body? Like, what did that
Well,
look
every time I
like?
said I would never do it again, I would never send money to my son again. I would never let my loved one talk to me the way they were talking to me, the abuse that I received. I would never let that happen again. And then I let it happen again.
Okay.
That was an internalized thing, like, what's wrong with you? And then it was
Mm.
self-criticism, like you're not good enough, like you don't matter, like
Mm.
obviously you've done something to deserve this. Those are all belief
Mm.
systems that were running underneath all the time. And the more those things happened and the more I wasn't showing up the way I thought I should be showing up, which was self-judgment, the more proof I had that obviously i I deserve this. I must
Mm.
have done something bad to deserve this. Or if I was a better mother, this wouldn't happen. So those were the stories that I was saying in my head that perpetuated the behavior, because really the abandonment, the self-rejection, the internal abuse that I was hurting myself was because my deep wound believed that I was not good enough. Because if I was, this wouldn't be happening. If I was a good enough mom, my son wouldn't be hurting and struggling the way he was hurting, living on the streets and all the things. If I was a good enough spouse, somehow this I'd be able to make this better. So we
Yeah.
internalize all these things, but it
And
was
did you
really,
know though at that time those were the thought patterns, or is that in like the work you're doing later that you're like in reflection that was the underlying
it was
belief?
a process for the longest time. No, if anybody, no, I thought I was doing all the right things,
That's
Tatiana.
right.
I was
Yeah.
like, I am the mom. Don't tell me that I'm
Right.
not supposed to do that. No, you don't understand, right? There
Yeah.
was anger. There was like, you don't get it. I had people saying, Jen, you need to step back, Jen. But as a mom, I'm like, how do you step back when your child's literally knocking on death's door every day? Like
Right.
it was, so there's so much confusion and there's so much like, it's like goes against everything in a mother's body to
Mm.
not step in to protect
Yeah.
your child. So there's a lot of programming, right? I call it the mama bear syndrome. Any mama
Mm.
knows that feeling. You're going to get between anything and your kid to protect them.
Yeah.
And in the book A Bigger Mission that I wrote, I talk about, you put your kid on training wheels and eventually you let go and you let
Yeah.
them take off and ride. Well, with addiction and the fear of the loss of losing your child to it, you basically you do the things, you protect, you prevent them from falling, you help them avoid the consequences, thinking you're doing it for the right reasons. I was doing it for the right reasons. I didn't want to hurt my son to hurt. I didn't want him to die. But what I didn't recognize is I was putting training wheels to help addiction tighten its grip.
Yeah.
So
Right.
talk about confusing, right? It's like there's
Very.
so much confusing and then fear and then stacked on top of an underlying wound
Yep.
that somehow you're not good enough. You're not a good
Right.
enough mom or parent or whatever. So that applies to addiction, but it applies to all of us
Everything.
in different ways, right?
Yeah,
It's just
totally.
one story, but this we're all experiencing that in slightly
Mm.
different ways and different severities too.
Wow. There's two things I want to ask about. One is like when you felt that shift, what was the shift you saw in your son and maybe your spouse as well? Was it once you took off the training wheels, right? What was that shift like? And two, how did it change how you felt in your body? Like from
Hmm.
that grippy, make my palms bleed kind of feeling. Was it like an exhale? Was it like a, oh,
It was
like,
like, holy shit, hang on. That's what it
okay,
was. There was no calm. It was the hardest thing I've ever had to do in my entire life was
okay,
to make that shift. And there
okay,
was no part of it until later on where it started. I mean, there was a sense of empowerment, like I'm going to do this. Like I'm
okay.
doing this. I have to
Hmm.
do this. So there was this empowerment and this like taking charge again, like reclaiming that reclamation.
Mm.
But with that, and this is what I talk about and I teach is there's duality happening all the time.
Yeah,
I always say it can be hard and it can be holy, right?
right.
You can be experiencing grief and you can be experiencing hope at the same time. This is life. We are
Mm.
constantly living in a dualistic world. The polarity is always there. So yeah, there was like this empowerment, like I'm going to do this. I'm not going to. This is it. I just have to take responsibility. And then with that, setting a boundary and saying no more. I'm not doing that anymore.
Mm.
And this is the way it's going to be. And having your loved ones who are used to manipulating, guilting, pulling all the heartstrings
Yep.
and having to stand your ground and have them, I mean, from my experience, like say very hurtful things and lash out and attack, right? Because they're not getting their way. This is what I prepare my clients for. Sometimes when you're doing this, it's like you're stoking a fire. You're
Mm.
when you say no, they're not going to like it because they're used to manipulating and getting what they want. So when you
Right.
stand your ground, be prepared, and we can prepare ourselves, our mind and our body for that backlash. But the more you show up and you say no and you stand your ground, they start to understand they're not going to manipulate you. And that's where when you shift yourself, when you break that cycle or that pattern, it forces the entire system to reorganize itself. It doesn't happen immediately, but underneath the surface, there's all these little things, these changes that are happening. And the
Yeah.
more I stood my ground and the more I stayed in my power, it shifted a lot of things. My marriage came to an end, which needed to happen
Hmm.
because again, we can only change ourselves. And if the other person isn't changing energetically, if I'm changing and growing and evolving, I'm
Yep.
elevating, the other person is staying the same. We either get pulled back to the energy of the person that doesn't want to change,
Right.
which happens, or we keep going and that other person falls away, falls out of our life. So
Yeah.
recovery is really letting go of things that are no longer in alignment with you. So my marriage came to an end.
Hmm.
And my son and I, again, it's been a journey. And my other children, there's been so much of this. But yeah, they start to go. I remember my son saying to me, Mom, you're different.
Oh.
You're talking different. I see what you're doing and thank you. So,
Oh, wow.
and it's consistent with the moms that I work with, the women that I work with, their kids. Honestly, it's so cool.
It's
People
so
start to
cool.
notice. They notice your energetic aura. There's an aura
Mm.
about you that your aura shifts, your energy shifts. The way that you're holding your own space, your capacity for yourself, the boundaries are firmer, but they're firmer with love, not fear and anger.
Yeah.
Energy doesn't lie, right? You can
Yeah.
feel it when somebody's trying to set a boundary and they're angry, or when somebody's trying to set a boundary, being like, "Yeah, I understand that that's how you feel," and it's still a no, right? Versus absolutely not, you're not going to do that. It's a totally different energy.
It
So
really is. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that's the thing. When I started to change, take zero responsibility for my son's healing and recovery. What I take ownership and responsibility of is no longer contributing to the cycles of suffering and chaos. When I
Mm,
change, I'm changing the energy, and it's what they do with it that is what's going to happen. And often when we stop fighting each other and we do our own work and stop trying to fix them and focus on us,
yes.
that's where the change happens. That's where you actually become a mentor instead of a manager. You
Oh,
become
wow. So
it,
good.
yeah, it becomes an invitation to the other person to change. Whether they do or not is up to them.
Their choice.
Yeah,
As
exactly.
much as we want our children to choose what we hoped they choose, it
Yeah.
is up to them, isn't it?
And the more you try to force somebody to do something, like I'm a pretty, you know, strong person. And, if somebody tries to tell me what I have to do, I'm like, I'm not doing that. Like, I'm not doing that. Don't tell me what to do. Even if it
Yeah.
makes sense, even if it's like
Right.
something I actually, it's like, no, but now that they told me that, it's like, I'm not doing that. So
Yeah.
I always say that, like, how do you respond best? Do you respond best when somebody tells you what to do, or when they ask you how you think it would be best, or what do you want? What do you think is the best version or way to go about that? It's like, there's
Yeah.
such a different energy. And when we come at it from a different energy, that's where we have actual attraction to impact and create change and help them to change.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. Oh, Jen, I love that so much. How did like the healing that you went through, and I know you continue to do the work. You're now in NLP training, neuro linguistic programming with
Yeah.
Marsha. I interviewed Marsha on an earlier episode, so
Yeah.
listeners, you should go listen to that one too. But how did that healing help you now change and move through with your life with more ease and also like elevate you and your message and now your business because now you help families and moms and you have yeah, like how does that all translate into what you're doing now?
Yeah, it's been a beautiful evolution. Because really I started doing yoga teacher training because I had experienced yoga and I felt the shifts and how it supported me, my mind and body, right? And
Yeah.
soul.
Yep.
So, I started to just look for different things because the things that I would tried, I'm not against therapy or counseling, but I was in lots of counseling and therapy and it wasn't working. It wasn't getting me the results that I was
I
looking
want to
for.
pause there for a second
Mhm.
because I think there is, and I think a lot of people feel this. It's like you kind of hit a ceiling with that
Yeah.
counseling and therapy. And I don't really know why because I don't have that lived experience. So can you share if you can
I
kind
can
of share
share
your thoughts
from, yeah,
there?
I can share from like my personal experience
Hmm.
of, when you're in it, for me, it was like there was so much crisis. I couldn't get it out of my mouth. Crisis
Yeah.
and trauma and all the focus. And this is why we haven't talked about Enable No More and recovery coaching and working with families in particular in addiction, and my advocacy for it is because as a family member, loved one in addiction, your voice doesn't really matter. That was my experience. It's like it's all about them.
Okay.
So I would go to counseling and therapy to get help for myself, and the entire hour I would spend talking about my loved ones, not
Hmm.
about me.
And you were the only one there.
I went to marriage counseling, and it was never really about me. So
Okay.
that's one part of it. The other part of it is, even when I started to go to therapy and counseling for me,
Yep.
it was like rehashing the same things. I felt like I wasn't getting anywhere. It was like we're
Mm.
just talking about what happened, but there was no solution. It was just kind of like, let's just talk about it, and then, oh, time's up, right? 50 minutes, you're
Right.
done. And same with, I was in different parenting support groups and things like that. They were helpful, but they only took me so far. So even like
Mm.
Al-Anon and Nar-Anon for families impacted by addiction, I went to a group called Hope, which was helping other parents everywhere. I think they're still out there.
Okay.
And it really was supportive for me, but it only took me so far. And
Yeah.
I was like, I need more. Like this is,
Right.
I need more, but there wasn't more. So
Mm.
that's when I was like, I went, got back into yoga, and yoga was like so healing for me. I used to say the four corners of my mat was the safest place that I could be. I could
Love that.
cry there. I could laugh there. I could be angry and rage there. I
Mm.
could grieve there. And
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time on my yoga mat, sometimes not doing yoga at all.
Well, that's still yoga though.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it's meeting yourself where you are and loving
Yeah.
yourself in that space and looking for what am I here to learn from this? What is my body trying
Mm.
to show me? What is my mind trying to show me? So
Yep.
yoga, I took Reiki. So I'm a Reiki master, energy healing, because that's what I was looking for. Why therapy, I think, isn't working for so many people
Yep.
is because there is a disconnect from ourselves. There is a disconnect from our higher source, whatever that is for you, God, source, spirit, universe, your higher
Yep.
self, whatever that God is of your choosing.
Yep.
Therapy is still not connecting us to our higher selves, our higher power. And people are longing to reconnect to that.
For someone listening who is curious or like, but is still confused what that means, because I, 10 years ago, 7 years ago, even may have been like, that's so abstract. What do you mean, my higher self, my higher power? I don't believe
Mhm.
in God, but I don't know. Like, how would you describe that energetic, sort of that next level that you're talking about outside of the talk therapy?
Yeah. I feel like, so we talk about our authentic self. And even that, it's like, what does that mean? Right? What does it mean? What is my authentic self? Well, you know, if you look at it from a science perspective, everything is energy.
Mm.
Everything. Like I touch my shirt, it's energy. My jewelry, my microphone, the computer that we're recording this on, everything is energy. The
Okay.
grass is energy. The sky is energy, right? The universe is made up of energy.
Yep.
So when I think of God or source or spirit or universe, I am created from the same energy of all that is. We're all one. So, but so to me, God, source, spirit, universe is
Yep.
all that is. It's all that is. It's everything. Everything
Mm.
is energy. Every emotion in you is energy. Every
Mm-hmm.
thought you think is energy. So if we start to like we think that this body is just who we are. Hi, I'm
Okay.
Jen McCutcheon, but I'm so much more. I am
Right.
the same energy that the entire universe is created out of. And
Mm.
that
That's
might
that
seem
that's that oneness people talk about, right? Or like
it's the oneness. Like
language.
I
Yeah.
am you and you are me. Like I am no different. You're created of the same energy of the universe as am I. And we're
Right.
all connected. That's why when we share story, like maybe there's going to be somebody listening to this and they're going to go, "Oh my gosh, it's like you're telling my story." The keynote speech that I gave in the Ottawa Stronger Through Midlife. I got off the
Mm.
stage and a gentleman that was there, as soon as I came off stage, he came over and gave me a hug and he's like, "You just shared my story. You
Oh,
just
wow.
shared my story." He like literally the driving the car off into the oncoming traffic. He's like,
Mm.
"That's my story." Now,
Mm.
I cannot tell you how many times different things that I say, people come up and say, "You just shared my story." Why
Mm.
is that? Because we're all experiencing the same things in different ways because we're all experiencing all that is, which is God, source, spirit, universe. It's who we are. God to me is not outside of me. God is me.
Mm.
And I know it's hard. Trust me, born again Catholic, baptized in the Baptist church, Pentecost, like I've been all across the denominations. And there was a time where, I was like atheist. I didn't believe in anything. And
Mm.
my belief around it is it's all the same thing. It's just all that is. And
Yeah.
so like coming back to your question is, okay,
Mm-hmm.
then what does that mean? Or how does somebody understand what that means? It's like, well, most of us are walking around believing that we are separate from the divine, and the divine is who I am and who you are. But we think
Mhm.
that we're just this human form,
Right.
but we're so much more. So we walk around thinking our house is the only thing, or my job, the next accomplishment, the bigger, the new car, or having another three babies. Like these are just the humanness of us, the things that we're supposed to do, but we're disconnected from our purpose and our
Yeah.
purpose. And that's what people are longing. We have higher suicide rates, mental health and addiction.
Yeah.
Why? Because
Yeah.
people are disconnected from their true authentic self, which is their divine self, which is all that is. So that's what people are looking for. They're like, what are there? And you see more and more people awakening and going, like, something's missing. I'm not happy, even though I have all these things. Or
Yeah.
they have a job loss or a divorce or a family member who's struggling, and they're
Mhm.
waking up from this, like, I don't want to do this anymore. We saw this with COVID. A lot of people moving through that period of time and being like, what was I doing? Like, I'm not going back to that way I was living. And
Right.
they've reinvented themselves. They've reconnected with something meaningful that is in alignment. They feel they love what they're doing, and that's because they've reconnected to
Yeah.
that truth, that power that is within, which is your divinity.
Yeah. It's so interesting too. Like, I mean, like you said, everyone, like your particular story, but it can resonate with many different moms, whether or not she is going through a child or a spouse with addiction. Like, there's something about that part of your life where you were kind of stuck in that survival mode, right?
Yes.
Like doing, fixing, go, go, go. And then shifting into this. I mean, it wasn't easy, like we said, right? It's
Hmm.
grueling, it's hard work, but in the same breath, it was like slowing down, creating those boundaries, honoring yourself, being on your mat with yoga. Like, do you think, and I know you work with lots of moms, how many of us truly are functioning in this like quiet but like survival mode and we're not
Oh,
even realizing it?
99.9% of people. Like the majority of us think that, and I don't say this judgmentally. I say this
Hmm.
because I was this. I thought I loved myself. If somebody had said you love yourself, yeah, I love myself.
Yeah.
Are you happy? Yeah, I'm happy. But you're on autopilot. We don't know what we
Mhm.
don't know until we know. And when you have something shake up your life so dramatically that you start to question everything, including yourself, that was
Hmm.
my awakening. Now, not everybody's going to have that experience,
That's
but
right.
there's quieter experiences that people are having. And those are actually scary too, because they're doing it alone and they're doing it in their heads and they're doing it in their like people again, like committing suicide because they're suffering internally. And from the
Hmm.
external world, you'd think everything is fine. But this is where the mental health and addiction and enabling and codependency comes in. 9 out of 10 people are codependent. That's not that's a behavior. Codependency is a behavior. It's not who you are. And codependency is depending on things outside of yourself to feel
I was just
valued,
going to ask you to define that. Yeah.
yeah, so codependency is when we depend on something, people, places, and things outside of ourselves for our sense of worth, for our sense of
Mm-hmm.
value, for love and acceptance. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
This is where addiction or enabling codependency was always kind of just an addiction issue, right? People
Right.
in addiction. That's where it stemmed from in the 1980s. It was family members that were codependent and enabling. But
Okay.
Melanie Beattie, I think it was in 1986, she identified that these behaviors, when they were talking about them, other people were like, oh, that's me. And they had nothing to do with addiction. They weren't involved. They
Right.
didn't have anybody experiencing addiction. So it
Yeah.
opened up this whole conversation. And still, here we are, 2026, and most people don't know what codependency is. I didn't
Right.
either, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But yet we're all experiencing it. We just don't know we're experiencing it. So, like,
Mm-hmm.
what do some of these things look like? I've explained what it looks like as a parent and a child in addiction, but it doesn't have to be an addiction. Think of
No.
any mother or parent who's, not is who's keeping training wheels on their kid's bike long after they actually need those training wheels
Yeah.
because they think they're protecting them. That could be doing your kids' homework. That could be, you know,
I was
not
just going to
letting
use
them.
that example.
Right.
Yeah.
Not letting them play with certain kids because you think those other kids aren't good kids and not letting them experience what they need to experience to learn and
Yeah.
grow and help
Right.
them move through those challenging times. Because guess what? They're going to end up being 20-year-old kids that don't have the capacity to hold their emotions because you never let them. But
Mm,
really, it was an attempt to keep yourself safe.
yeah.
So, it can be in the workplace. Like, again, people in the workplace over functioning, staying late at work, taking on more work but being given more work, taking it on and not saying, no, I can't take any more work on, right?
Yeah.
Continuing to show up because that's your identity. You need that to feel like you are achieving something and that people are seeing you as an achiever. But then when you're
Mm,
not getting the accolades or the rewards, from people or the acknowledgement, then you feel invisible and taken for granted and resentful.
yeah. Oh
Codependent.
man.
We're
Right.
dependent on things outside of ourselves. Or maybe it's the relationship where, every time your spouse comes home, you're automatically like, oh, what kind of mood are they in? Are they happy? Are they mad? And your mood changes based on their mood. And then you
Mm,
shrink in the room to try to avoid making them mad. So then you're basically abandoning yourself for the needs of somebody else. So do you
yeah.
see how it can show up in all areas of our lives? And we don't know
Totally.
it. We think it's normal. We think it's
Yeah.
normal.
So for someone listening, Jen, and
Mhm.
like say they're like, oh, I'm in that example she just gave. What is like a first step? Would it be get on your yoga mat and like try to connect with your breath? Like, what would you coach them to kind of like start to implement like something small that they could take away?
Yeah. I think the biggest thing to do, and it's simple, it's not necessarily easy, is presence. It's
Mm,
presence. Because when we are walking around unconscious, which 99.9% of us probably are unconscious, or 99%, maybe the 1% is conscious about our what we're doing every day. And what I mean by conscious or unconscious is like, I'm going to push this button right now to change the screen, or right, or to pause the video. That's a conscious thought. I'm going to push this button and it's going to change something. Versus, I get in my car and drive from point A to point B and I don't even remember how I got there. It's
mm,
unconscious.
hmm.
So, when we're consciously living, we can be present with our thoughts. What are the thoughts that are coming up in the mind? When I'm conscious, I can recognize when I'm feeling an emotional state. I'm angry, I'm sad, I'm grieving. Most of us, we feel anger or we feel sad and we like push it down.
Mm-hmm.
So presence is so, and often when we're not present, when we're unconscious, we're living in the past, which
Yeah.
doesn't exist, or we're living in the future,
Worrying about the future.
which
Yeah.
isn't here either. So we're not present, we're not here. So present. So yeah, things like yoga would be great because yoga helps you ground your feet into the mat and you have to think about all these little things and how are you holding your arms and is your chin
Yeah.
tucked in and where are you staring on the wall? It helps you to be present.
Yeah, I'm laughing and smiling because when I first started yoga in my early 30s, like truly going regularly, I didn't get it. Like
Yeah.
the teacher would be like, or my mentor actually, she did my yoga teacher training, be present, let it go, be in the moment, no judgment. And I'm like, what is she even talking about? But that was what built my foundation to like help me now in my 40s.
Yeah.
It's like
And
what, yeah,
And
go ahead.
like that is, most people think you're going to yoga. Again, I started going because I wanted to get into better shape, not to be mindful. I was like, what is
No.
this? But that's same with meditation.
Yeah.
I do meditations every day, multiple times a day. I
Yeah.
meditate walking. There's so many ways that you can meditate.
Mm-hmm.
Meditation is misunderstood, as is presence. It's like, or yoga.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever you can do to quiet yourself, not necessarily your mind. When we
Yeah.
quiet our mind, yoga, standing in an asana pose, holding our hands out and feeling the trembles because you're so tired and being asked to stay for another 2 breaths. The
Mm,
shit that comes up in your mind when you're standing in that yoga pose, okay? That's the stuff. That's the subconscious mind that's coming to
yeah.
consciousness. This is too hard. I can't do this. What do you mean she wants me to hold this for another 3 breaths? Is she crazy? Like, holy crap. Like all that monkey mind, that's
Yeah.
the subconscious mind that is coming to consciousness. When we sit,
And you're not doing anything wrong when that happens. Because I have so many clients
yeah.
who are like, I don't go anymore because like I can't do that because all I think about is how I can't do that. And I'm like, that's why you keep doing it.
Exactly. That's the proof. That's the proof in the pudding, right? Or is that the saying? Pudding in the no, proof in the pudding.
For the,
Proof
yeah.
in the that's the proof that you've got a lot going on in the subconscious mind that you're not aware of. That is
Hmm.
what meditation is. People are like, I can't meditate. I can't sit there. Everything in my mind. I'm like, that's why you need to meditate. It's
Yeah.
not about judging yourself in the moment. It's about being present and listening to what your mind is saying to you because our subconscious mind directs 95, 97% of our actions every day. We have
That's wild.
60 to 80,000 thoughts per day.
Hmm.
80 of them are repeated thoughts, and
Hmm.
90% of them are not true.
Wow.
When I heard that, I was like, wow, like,
Yeah.
what does that mean? That means that I'm basically making decisions that aren't even based on what I believe, what I
Hmm.
actually believe to be true. So that's the power of presence is we get to be present with our thoughts, even the ones that are messy and uncomfortable, especially those
Yeah.
ones where we
Yep.
actually start to sit with them, those negative self-talk, I'm not good enough. I'm not lovable. There's something wrong with me. It won't work for me.
So,
Life is
question,
failing.
if you
Yeah.
have that and you notice that, and it's like sit with that discomfort and
Yeah.
it's so uncomfortable, but then what happens if you're stuck there? How do you pull out of that?
Well, that's where sometimes we need options, we need support, we need somebody to help us because even me, I mean, I've been doing this work for 7 years, really truly,
Mm-hmm.
and there's still times I need a coach to coach me. I need somebody
Mm-hmm.
to help me because our subconscious mind it actually is trying to protect us. We hear about self-sabotage, right? I sabotage myself too, but actually it's not sabotage, it's our mind trying to protect us. The
Mm-hmm.
subconscious mind is trying to protect you. So there's things where it's like I know I need to do this, but I can't do it. Why can't I do it?
Mm-hmm.
Why does this keep coming up? This is the patterning that I'm talking about. So there's techniques and strategies like NLP, like spiritual psychology, which I work in and trained in, emotional freedom technique. There's so many somatic techniques. Like sometimes I can just take somebody through a breath work
Mm.
and they release the energetic charge, that emotional charge that is one in the body, but in the mind. And they're able to break through and move through and they see, oh, okay, that's what I needed. But
Yeah.
we can't always do it on our
You
own. That's
can't
why we
think
need
your way
help.
through it.
No, you cannot. The logical mind, you can sit and try to logically think through that thing. It will
Mhm.
not work. And there's no amount of willpower. Let me just say this there is no amount of willpower that can break a pattern
Yeah.
in the subconscious mind. It's not
Yes.
about willpower. And people get that wrong. It's like if I just try harder, I was there. If I just try harder, it'll work. If I just force this, if I make it won't. The
Yeah.
pattern keeps showing up because it's not in the mind. It's in the unconscious mind, which is the body.
Mm.
The body holds or keeps score.
Yep.
It's emotional wounds,
Hmm.
limiting beliefs and belief systems that are held in the somatics of the body.
Yeah. Oh, so good. And you are, I mean, when someone works with you, Jen, because you have so many different tools and tips, do you just sort of customize to what works for that client, or you can
Yeah.
identify like, oh, this is at the somatic level or
Yeah.
energetic level? Like, do you just sort of work through that?
So when I'm working one-on-one with clients, I create a very specific strategic, and we can move because that's how I've been trained to move with the subconscious mind, to move with consciousness, to move with your higher, to teach and learn and guide with your subconscious mind. It knows what it's ready to release. I'm not here to force you to change.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here to listen and intuitively know how to guide you based on what you're ready to release. So it's a
Mm.
beautiful, and that's what I love about the work that I do. It's not like every day I get on and I do A, B, C, D. I listen to your higher self, to the language that you're speaking, to the way that you're moving, the way that you're speaking, that guides me to allow consciousness to help you let go of what you're ready to let go of. So there's breath work, there's meditation, there's anger release, like sacred rage releases. Like there's so many beautiful ways. Sometimes it's like actually doing nothing. And that can be the
So
hardest work
uncomfortable.
for so
Yeah.
many people. It's like, we're just going to sit here and regulate, because the regulation, our bodies cannot release until they feel safe to release.
That's true.
Our
Yeah.
subconscious mind will not open up until we create safety within it.
Mm. Yeah.
So again, it's not about here's 6 steps and you'll be good. It's like, no, it's about
Yeah.
learning to trust yourself, to hold space for yourself, and to allow somebody to guide you when you can't quite crack the code, because that's all we're doing is we've been coded just like our computers. Our bodies and minds are the most intelligent computer systems. Just like our computers get viruses and we have too many tabs open and we didn't update it and you get the spinning ball of death, our systems are the same. We are stressed out. We
Yeah.
are dealing with constant programming that is confusing and overwhelming, and our
Mm-hmm.
systems go into a malfunction, and we need sometimes people to help us through those things. We don't have to
Yeah.
do it alone. We're not meant to do it alone. So yeah,
No.
working with individuals one on one, I'm able to really guide. In groups, we still can do a lot of group work. Is so powerful because again, one person shares a story and the 5, 6, 7, 8 other women watching that transformation
Yeah.
are also transforming and breaking cycles within themselves because they see themselves in that other person's journey.
Yeah. It's that
Like, me
mirror.
too. Yeah.
Yeah. So good.
Yeah.
How can someone like find you and work with you, Jen?
Yeah, so you can go to my website, which is enablenomore.ca. I'm on Instagram at enablenomore.ca. You can reach out, book a free discovery call where it's really just set up to have a chat, like woman to woman, anybody who's looking. It's not just women. I'm here to support anybody, where we chat about where you are, like what's going on in your world right now, because we can't change what we don't acknowledge. And
Mm,
then where do you want to be? What is the dream? What is the vision? How do you want to feel in your life? And then together we create a strategy, because you have to be in alignment. If you have to be able to go, yeah, that sounds good. And then we,
yeah.
we create that strategy to help you get to that, to achieve that goal. And that life
Yeah.
goal is to help you to live with purpose, aligned with your true authentic self, to stand
And
in
what
your
about
power.
your the families group one? I think it's Moms on a Mission.
Oh, yes. So Moms on a Mission is a group, is a community. It's a membership-based community, and we get together like 4 times a month. So live coaching calls, education, resources, tools. There's a library of recordings in there. So, it doesn't matter. It's not just for families impacted by addiction. It's
Okay.
for anybody who wants to break the patterns. We do have one particular call that is the invitation to change approach, which is talks about addiction and reframes it to support family members. But again, we are all experiencing addiction in slightly different ways. So
Right.
everything in that program can be applied to any aspect of your life. So it
Mm,
we dive deep into those patterns. We dive deep into how to heal the body. So the peace portal. We work on manifestation. So I teach you all about the universal laws and how to create the life that you truly want. And
love
then we
it.
have a self mastery call, which is really about recovering yourself, remembering who you are, breaking down what you are not, and stepping into your power. So yeah, there's 4 powerful calls that we do every single month.
Amazing.
And that's
And
on my website too. So you can find
okay.
all that stuff. And
Yeah.
there's free meditations and breath work and all that fun stuff too on the website.
Well, I have to say, Jen, I was she took me through a like a NLP subconscious. What would you call that
It's
we
a
just did?
technique. Yeah,
The
an
technique,
NLP technique.
an
Yeah.
NLP technique, and it was really cool. Like you're the way you guide. I have
Mhm.
never felt so spacious in my breath. It was like very, very cool.
I mean, yeah, that was, yeah. I mean, it's incredible work, and this is where, again, therapy, counseling, they're good. There's a place we can work all. We need all of these different things. But if you're
Yeah.
somebody who's stuck in a pattern, if you keep repeating the same thing, and you're like, I don't know why I'm here. It can be the smallest thing, or it can be a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
Subconscious mind reprogramming is what is missing. It is what is
Yeah.
missing because, again, we can't push through something that is a deep pattern in the subconscious mind. So there's lots of fun ways to do it. Like what we did with you, it's not heavy, it wasn't heavy, it wasn't, we get to do it and it doesn't have to be like that deep trauma healing. Again, sometimes there's a place for deep trauma healing where
Yeah.
you're going through what you went through. Sometimes that has to happen and it's
Mm-hmm.
profoundly powerful. There's other times where we don't need to replay or rehash that event.
Right.
We can move through it, and it's not always it's there's lots. There's not just trauma, but program.
Yeah.
Social programming, cultural programming, the way we were brought up, the things that we see around our world, our own personal experiences. There's so many things that we can do. I just did another session today, and again, powerful, powerful,
So
transformative.
good.
Yeah.
So good. Share it. Share it quickly. What happened, if you can.
Yeah, so it's another technique where again we want to change, we want to go to this thing, we want something. Okay, this person wanted to create something, but then there was this other part of them that was like, I can't do it. It's too much. I'm overwhelmed. There's always roadblocks. It's too hard, but they really want this thing.
Okay.
So I took them through a process where we integrated those two parts. Those two parts, when they're not integrated, they're fighting each other
Mm,
on a subconscious level. Like they didn't know that this was happening, but I was able to, take them through this process where they took the part that they didn't like and they were angry at.
mm,
And it ends up where you get to see how that part is actually serving you, how you can love that part of yourself,
mm,
how you can witness it when it shows up and instead of fighting it, love it and integrate it.
mm,
So we literally bring these parts. So you're rewiring the subconscious mind, which is also the body, creating safety in the body and integrating these two parts.
yeah.
And I've done this technique, I don't know, maybe 6 times in the last like couple of weeks. And every time it is so beautiful to witness. Like
That's so cool.
the story, like just to, and this was a man that I took through today, and you know, just to see the safety and the level of compassion and the, what's the word I'm looking for? The surrender
Mm,
to reconnect to your true authentic self, to witness that in another, it is such a gift. It is such a gift to me to be able to witness it and then be able to see them move on in their life to be able to do and achieve the things that they want to achieve, whether it's in relationship. This was like relationship with himself, with his family, with his business. Like this is the thing. When we're living authentic, which is living in purpose, it's
mm-hmm.
impacting all parts of our lives, our relationships, our businesses, our finances. It's all connected,
It is all connected. And
all connected.
when you're talking about this and when I'm seeing you light up about your clients and even yourself, it's like when you can connect to that part of you, that authentic self, and then you can lean into that and like love all your parts,
Yeah,
then that just like that energy ripples out, right? And then that's what you attract in.
exactly. And that's where we get to, and it does, it lights me up. There's nothing more I love. Like I love it. I live for this. I live for moments like this because it's like when
She's
I
got like
see
a
somebody,
halo around her head right now.
yeah. I swear it's like it and that's when I know I'm living in purpose. I'm
Mm-hmm.
living in purpose because the things that light me up is where I'm in alignment. The things that drain me of my energy are the things that where I'm out of alignment. So,
Mm-hmm.
and when I change and I heal,
Mm-hmm.
the ripple effects helps other people to change and heal. So when I'm working with somebody and I see these shifts happening, guess what? I'm not only seeing their shifts and transformation, I'm witnessing the ripple effect and how that is going to impact their family and their
Yeah.
work and their community. So it's beautiful. This is the interconnectedness of
Yeah.
all that is, and that's why I love you and the work that you're doing,
Thank
the,
you.
the collaboration over competition, the wanting to be the change maker, taking ownership, taking leadership, preventative health awareness. And we're all
Yeah.
doing it in different ways, but our impact is rippling and we're helping more people. That's what lights me up.
Yeah, same, of course. Me too. Jen,
Yeah.
I want to also like tell people about your upcoming in-person stuff too, because
Oh, yes.
that's
So
exciting.
it is exciting. We are still in the last of the construction phase, but we're
Okay.
opening up a studio, Studio
Woohoo!
7, which is in Prince Edward County. And August 8th, I have a my grand opening 1-day retreat, which is
Ooh,
called
yeah.
Empower Her. Sorry, Empower Her. Activate Her Power. Jeepers.
That's
Activate Her
okay.
Power, which is a full day retreat. We are going to be doing subconscious mind reprogramming. There's going to be some hypnosis. We're going to have a
Ooh,
sound
fun.
healer coming in. We have a local friend of mine who's coming in to do tea leaf reading, which is all going
Mm,
to support breaking the patterns. Because again, when we activate her power, we are activating yourself, your higher self, to stand in your truth, to live authentically, purpose driven, and it will change your life.
love
So,
that.
yeah, if you're interested, August 8th, yeah, we're taking registrations, sign ups
Is it on
now.
your
It's
website? Hmm.
it's going to be, it's not
Okay.
yet, but it will be.
Okay.
But yeah, just if you're interested, you can email me, direct message me from the website or from social media.
Sounds
There's
good.
limited space. It's a grand opening, and I want it to be intimate so that we
Yeah.
can have a lot of real transformations happening in that room. So I'd
Oh,
love to
that's
have you join if you're interested.
I will look at my calendar. And for listeners, yeah, check that out. I'll leave all the links in the show notes. And yeah, before we say goodbye, I just want to ask you, Jen, last question, just speak from the heart. What makes you move with ease today?
Mm. What makes me move with ease today? Staying grounded, leaning into love, and really truly trusting the process unfolding. My work right now is to not force. So when
Mm,
I'm moving with ease, it means that I'm not forcing, I'm allowing things to flow because I am an overachiever. That is like a program that I am deprogramming. It is a code that I'm cracking. So
yeah.
that's my move with ease, is to not force, but to just be in flow and trust the process unfolding.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. So beautiful. Thank you so much for
Ah,
being here. I loved this so much.
thank
And
you.
Um, obviously I'll see you lots because we're both the ambassadors.
Yeah.
Bye for
I look
now.
Bye for now. Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome.